Hey, Captain Tommy Scoville, and you were on the lifeboat. And I have with me, as always, if we're here on the night yard, I have got my homeboy, solid Peckerwood Russ. Good to have you, man.
Hello,
Gl-
everybody.
Glad that you are here. So I was, you saw I busted out the old booking photo in
Right.
the. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, man.
I
It's
think I think I think mine was like the fourth ID or fifth ID that I got
yeah,
because you kept losing them or they get
yeah,
tore up, come
yeah.
apart.
You know what's funny is the one that I had from the state, and I think that my ex actually has it, but there was a cop working, and right as we were taking the pictures for the IDs, the guy said some slick stuff to me about me being a loser and this and that. And I told him I had a plan, that I was going to get out and I was going to start working out and maybe become a personal trainer, right? And I just kept going down. I said, and then I might lose 30 or 40 pounds with the help of your daughter or wife. And
Right.
he didn't even miss a beat. He just punched me in the face like that fast. And it was one of those things for us where it's not going to happen. So it freaks you out so bad. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like my head snapped back. I was like, good Lord, that man just punched me.
What the
And
hell happened?
I mean, I was cuffed up. It wasn't like I could do a whole lot to him. But the funny part is he said to me the whole way up to medical, he goes, they're not going to believe you anyway. Tell them whatever the hell you want. They're not going to believe you. I said, okay, they might. And when I got up there, she said, what happened? I said, I was screwing around in there and pretending to be Greg Louganis, like I was going to do a big dive off of a bench and fell down and hit my face. And she
Yeah.
said, man, she looked at him and said, was he fighting? The guy's like, nah, he really hit his face on a bench. But but the funny part is, so they had to take the picture immediately afterwards. And I had this big, huge purple shiner. Right? So and they didn't retake shots. So if you lost your ID, they just bring you another one. It was the same picture. So yeah, that was always funny. But
Yeah, they had always, if you cut your hair, because like I said, I had long hair at once, and then I cut mine down to that. So,
did they force you to?
no, they didn't force us to cut our hair.
Oh,
No way.
see, they do it in they used to do it in Nevada. You got
Mm-mm.
to the joint, and when you got through the Sally port, first thing they did, man, was hand you clippers. And
Right.
the only people that dodged that bullet were natives.
Real,
Right?
yeah, it's because they consider their hair sacred.
Yeah, they don't cut it unless something massive happens or whatever. So, but
And they will
everybody else,
kill
they
you over
also
that.
made you. They also
They will,
made you shave.
yeah. These Indian guys will stab you to death if you touch their hair.
No question.
I know. They're
I
crazier than us.
in the federal system, reservations are considered, all fed, right? Anything that takes place on a reservation, because it is its own nation, it's prosecuted by the federal government. So,
Right.
I mean, if you steal a beer, you get a DWI, you're going to the feds. So
Right.
we had just a massive population of Native
Ooh,
Americans, and they ride with us. You know what I mean? So you can even live with them. They're
right.
so yeah. I knew a ton of them, especially when I was in the Phoenix area. This was definitely the Phoenix and Tucson area had a huge population of natives. Okay, so people, that is what I looked like when I had hair. And I was at that point still stealing stuff for a living. Still had a bit of a drug problem. This I was showing. We're doing the ID thing. So let's see here. That is the Unicore. So this is what I had to use every day
Yep.
to actually go to work. Right.
Yep.
This inmate employee card is for Unicore purposes only. I don't know what else you would do with it, but that's what it says on the back of this thing.
This is what
Um,
they give you when you leave California, and you can use this for anything. They give you your $200 check. You can cash it with this.
Right. We get
So,
what we get in the feds when you walk out the door. They give you you've seen the red federal IDs. You get
uh-huh.
a brand new one, so it's
Right.
got your reg number this big across it. Right. The only difference between that and your normal one is you're going to have on street clothes. They'll snap a
Right.
new photo,
Hmm.
and then they hand you a Visa card, and it's got the same picture on it. So I mean, you go into your
Really?
card, and it's got your booking photo on the front of it. Everybody
Wow.
knows. Yeah, it's
I didn't
terrible.
know that.
Absolutely terrible. Yep. Anything you got on your books goes right onto a prepaid Visa card, and boy, they get you too, man. It's like I went down to take money out of a ATM machine. And it was like $6, right, to take money out. I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. They're still getting me. The old feds still every chance they get, right? But
Yeah.
so we're gonna go over some stuff today because this is funny. I talked about this the last couple of times that we were on. This
Right.
was the F of myself and a cat by the name of Rick Siebert. Good dude. But these are prison terms, front and back of every single one of these pages. Or I guess in the beginning it's just front, but there's, let's see, 30. Yeah, there's a lot of it really is shocking how much the language. But if we just start pulling some of these off the top, because we were talking right before we went live how there's differences between the feds and the state.
Oh yeah.
Right? Obviously. But there's also not much difference between the, you know what I mean? The convicts are convicts are convicts. So if I were to just randomly pick one out like kite.
That's a note.
Yeah. It is illegal communication between
Right.
two inmates.
Right. That could be
Very
rolled
often.
up and put in a food tray, slid through a slot so somebody gets it. You know what I mean? They'll do anything.
Yeah.
They've got secret languages. There's ways to talk that you can use words that sound like something else that mean something else. I mean, Ike the Mike's under the weeping willow, which means the spike is under the pillow.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you use to slam with. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do.
And when you get there, the first thing you do when they call you in and they say, hey, are you allergic to anything? You have to give them the most bizarre set of allergies possible. That way the boys in the kitchen,
yeah.
That way the boys in the kitchen know that is your tray and nobody else's. Right. So you're like, I'm allergic to fish, I'm allergic to onions, and right, and gluten-free or whatever.
Right.
And they would put stuff under the food. I was on a yard with a very famous dude who I won't out. I was on like 4 yards with him, but pretty famous dude, and he had a no salt, no onion. And as soon as I saw that on the tray, I'm like, oh man, I guarantee you this tray is stacked.
Oh yeah,
there's so much illegal stuff in this tray, it's just ridiculous.
You can split those trays open. Oh yeah, they're hollow. Some of them were hollow.
Yeah.
When they go through the plastic ones, they'd be full.
Yeah, literally. Right.
Yeah.
Chock full.
Yep. Seventh son asked me what the deal with about my flag. My flag. Well, this one was with my little brother over in Iraq. And this is the brother that committed suicide.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he had this one when he was in Iraq in 2003 or 4. But when he passed away, I took this flag. So I keep it hung up everywhere I go, 7th. Just so you know.
Russ, that was after he came home. He took his, the statistics on how many of our soldiers are doing that every day is absolutely terrifying.
22.
Yeah, absolutely terrifying.
A day.
Rick Siebert was actually an Army Ranger. The guy that helped me put this thing together was an Army Ranger and had done everything right in life. He just had one weekend, man. Like I lived with him for 12 months and, I just said, how did you end up in here? You just don't really seem the type. And he said, well, I like snorting coke. He said, I was always a pretty big fan of snorting coke. And he got with a girl. And when they ran out of coke, he said, I'm going to go get money. And never thought about it before anything else. Went and hit a bank. And,
wow.
And he went and bought a car off a car lot, right, for a couple of grand, spent the rest of the money on blow. And he said, and I thought I'd maybe get 1 or 2 more before I left town. And so by the time it was all said and done, he had gotten 25 years in one day.
Wow.
Yeah. multiple banks, used a piece, just all everything you don't want to do.
Right.
How about the term friendly? You ever heard that?
No,
That
I
may be a
mean,
Fed thing.
something overly friendly.
Well, when you buy weapons in the feds, number one, you better buy it from your race, because if you
Oh
make
yeah.
a weapon and sell it to somebody outside your race, it's the end of the
Oh yeah.
world as you know it. Yeah, and
Your
that
career is
happens.
over.
Yeah, because people are so greedy. That crap happens actually all the time. But a friendly is a weapon made of metal that will actually go through a metal detector.
Bone
So the
crusher.
term, yeah, bone crusher, if it's long enough, right? A friendly bone crusher. But normally it was made out of aluminum, or it was made out of, they had this 440 steel that they were using. I was on a yard and it was being used for something they were doing in solar power, kind of putting stuff around the outside of it or
Right.
whatever. Greatest stuff in the world. But it was stainless steel, and it would walk completely through a metal detector without so much as a sound, which was
Wow.
lovely. That's a friendly, and they go for an awful lot of money. Those were fairly expensive. The plastic ones that you get when you first get to the yard, the ones they hand
Right.
you with your clothing, usually made from a light. They melted down the
Or a
plastic from
strip
it.
on the bottom of the cell door, or there's things. How do you know how to make a good spear? What they made spears out of?
Um, well, I've done it with newspaper.
I don't know.
No, what do you?
National Geographic, really really tight, and then you put sugar water
Syrup,
all over it. Yep. Let it stiffen up. Then you get that. Well, in the hole, I don't know about your place, but in the hole in the state, we had that perforated door. It had a bunch of holes in it,
right?
and then you could just make your drawstring and send it right through one of them holes in your head. You only need to break the skin because you dip the
Yeah,
tip.
you've slimed it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Either of you do time with an older redhead who insists everyone take their shoes off before entering his cell?
No,
Can't
I
say that
knew
I have.
no
That would
engineer.
have stuck out.
I did know a guy in level 4. They called him engineer. He was a hairy head, but he was the most dangerous dude I ever met in my life, or one
Yeah.
of them. But no, you never walked in his cell.
Yeah. I'm sorry, just checking back here in case I
That's
missed
all good.
something. All right. The yeah, one of the most amazing things to me is um we have so much time on our hands in there. I don't think people really get an appreciation for just if you have nothing but time, right? So I was at Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. It's one of the worst prisons in America. Absolutely awful. But it's a very old prison, and the units come off of a main hallway and they jut out like this, right? Like legs off of the main
Like
hall.
that,
Exactly, like four.
Right,
So you got an A, B, C, D, E, right? So
right.
the guy directly across from me, I can see this dude in the window, right? We can look at each other, but there is probably 60 feet between his window and my window. So when we're out at rec, right, we're talking back and forth, and he had something that my cellmate wanted. It was something that he was going to stick up his nose and snort. So my cellmate made a bow and arrow for all intents and purposes, right? He took a pair of boxers and had the
Fishing line.
waistband, yeah, and then he was pulling this thing back with line on it, right, and shooting this thing. And the line he made out of saran wrap, so it's so thin you can't see it, and really strong. But if you spin saran wrap, you can make it
Hmm.
so there's no weight on it, no nothing. And I said to him, dude, first of all, you're shooting at a screen. The guy's window has got a metal screen on it. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, even if you got it there, he's like, there's a hole in his screen. I said, oh, you bumped your head. He spent, I'm not kidding you, one day, right? And then until about 11 the following day, right? Just doing it at lunch. And I hear, yes. And I rolled over. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, no, no, no. The guy just pulled the string. He goes, it's in there. So the process then of it coming back and doing all that, he pulls all this thing all the way there, and they're too big to get through the hole. The guy made the claw was too big. So he had to pull it back and make him smaller. This thing, I mean, you talk about being all in. Come on, cat. Sorry, squirrel problems. But you talk about being all in. I mean, you just got so much time on your hands. I don't think people realize,
Oh yeah.
if you have enough time, you can do anything. It really just comes down to how much time you got. I was in the Florence Special Management Unit, right? So it's like a prison for bad people. And this is phase 2 of it,
Mhm.
right? So it's a little bit easier, but it's still a prison for bad people. And I'm every 21 days they move you. They don't want you doing anything to the cell, trying to tunnel out, whatever. So every 21 days you get moved to a new cell. And as we're doing the move, because it's phase 2, you can actually like talk to inmates. You're not locked up and handcuffed. And this guy says to me, "Hey man, I've been working something out on the lower bunk. I need you to finish that for me." And I said, "Oh, dude, man, like, I'm not tipped up. I'm not part of your group or anything like that." And he's like, "Nah, man, you really need to do this for me." And shot caller came walking down and said, "Hey, man, knock that out for him." I said, "Yeah, okay." And he gave me a cutter, right? People may not be familiar with the concept of a cutter, but if you ever took one of those paper clips that is black and triangle, right? And they got the little silver hands on them or whatever.
On it, yeah.
The triangle open. Okay, if you take one of those pieces of metal, you can ask Russ if I'm lying. You take one of those pieces of metal and you go like this until it breaks, and that piece of metal will cut anything on planet Earth in half. You just got to take enough time going back and forth on it. So when I got in there, Russ, I lift up the mattress, right? And the knife, he has carved this thing. So when you look down at it, you can see the handle. Like it's just perfectly cut out into it. And it was just a matter of me going back around and around and around. Paul, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, brother. Really appreciate you. In Tucson, no less. But I ended up cutting that thing out for him. You know what I mean? Which was
wow.
And when I looked at it, you could almost see through in 2 or 3 areas. Like it was so paper thin, and it still probably took me 10 hours.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And you take Comet, drop a little Comet into, right, to get a little bit more.
When I first went in, they used to give you a little lotion bottle, like a care package, just the state would.
Yeah.
And it was only about that big, and it looked like a little space capsule, actually. It looked like a little miniature Apollo space capsule.
Right.
And what these guys used to do with it, they used to let you smoke too, and they give you matches. But these guys would empty out the lotion, get 50 books of matches, take off the match heads, fill that thing up, make a wick, throw it in the cell. Somebody they don't like, blow up a bomb.
Yeah, and a serious one.
Oh yeah, they would put razor blades in it and everything.
Yeah.
It
People
would
have.
take.
I don't. Yeah, you cannot really. It's hard to wrap your brain around what kind of things criminals can do.
Oh man!
If you take a whole bunch of them and lock them up in a really tight, knit area, anybody that's ever done anything a little crazy is going to tell every other person in the room how he did it. Right?
Yep.
I mean, I remember a guy coming in and saying, "You got 5 typewriters in this unit?" We're like, "Yeah, we're the unit that everyone comes to if you're gonna do typing." And he's like, "There are 5 of them in there?" We're like, "Yeah." By the end of the day, dude. By the end of the day, you go in there and try to type nothing. Every single piece of metal that went across that thing have been stolen, and they make ice picks out of those. And those things, those are actual weapons that kill people.
Oh yeah,
and they kill people by accident all the time because they just will go all the way through you. And if you're not careful, it's going to hit something bad. Hold on here. I smuggled contraband into the Pima County Community Jail in Pima County, Tucson, Arizona, and never got caught. And I smuggled contraband a few times in Wilmot prison. Yeah, you're lucky that you didn't get caught. Quit while you're ahead. I was at the prison that I was at. Actually, 2 of them were on Wilmot.
Right.
So, yeah, that is just prison row in Tucson, man. Right?
I've actually carried a couple of packages from county to state when I did parole violations.
Do me a favor and tell everybody here. Just so did you have that in a backpack? What do you mean?
I had that in my prison prison suitcase.
Yeah.
You know, it was on the up the chute.
Yes. You know what's really funny is this is one of when you get out of prison, that is one of the things that people ask you about more than anything else, right? They're going to ask you about, you know, whether or not somebody tried to get you when you were picking up the soap, because that's the running joke. But the next thing that people were asked was, hey man, you never had to, peace or anything, did you? It's like only if you wanted to keep it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You don't have to put anything there unless you got something that you'd really like to keep.
If I knew I was going, yeah, I had to take care of what I had to take care of. But when I got there, I was rich,
Right.
so I was set for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I was good. Half the
The
yard owed me.
I think I told the story on here. I might have even told it last week, but a guy came in with an entire can of Bugler that
Oh,
he
I
had
don't know about
managed, that
that.
he had used the toilet paper roll to pack it down and get it wet and all this. But he was just so happy and so impressed, and he was breaking all this out on the table. And I was like, boy, you should really go check out that Foot Locker over there, that yellow one. And he opens it up, and it's just bags of 4 Aces tobacco from the top to the bottom. And he's like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, no, man, you can buy it here at store. Oh, he was salty about it. He's like, man, I sat on a bus for 3 days.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
I
that
once
ain't right.
smuggled weed into Mexico. Really?
Into
That's not what
Mexico?
you're supposed to do. That's the exact opposite, man. You don't smuggle weed into Mexico.
Surprised they don't have it everywhere there.
Yeah, I mean,
Guards bring
yeah.
it in.
Normally it's the guns that smuggle into Mexico, and then the dope comes this way. Customs was like, "Damn, you got one nice badonkadonk," and I was like, "I know, sweet." Oh man,
I know guys that took uh, buck knives in. A couple of them took buck knives in. Not real big ones, but you don't need a big knife to do damage.
no, you do not. No,
Nope.
you do not. They almost killed the warden at the Deuce at Victorville too, and it was a carpet knife. You know, the kind that
Yeah.
you put into a carpet blade, and he had taken it, put wood, because you have these arts and crafts, and they're like popsicle sticks, and guys will build. You would not believe the things they build with these. I mean, the skill that some of these guys
I've
have.
seen them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they'll do pyramids or the White House or whatever, and they really get into it. But you've got this wood glue, and if you ever worked with it, wood glue is great. It really will hold wood together. And he built a handle for this. And when Calvin Johnson, Warden Calvin Johnson, came
I heard
walking
of that.
into he came walking into the chow hall. I was actually in the chow hall. That was one of those that I was there for. And they used to
Wow.
have this metal thing that separated you, so you had to be on one side of it. It's the railing, right?
For the line.
And Calvin, yeah, he was standing main line right there with. So at main line every day, at the head of every department has to stand right there so you can complain to him. So if your clothes aren't coming back clean, you go yell to that guy. And if the library sucks, you go yell to that guy. And the warden's standing there. They're
Right.
all right there. It's called main line. Well, this dude, as he's walking, he got right up behind the warden and just grabbed him. And he pulled him back over the bar and just gave him this was the end. And he got his hand here. And it went right across, right? If he didn't get his hand up, it would have been absolutely the end of the. Yeah, and then the captain on that yard was just absolutely huge, corn-fed, white boy, just big dude. By the time it was all said and done, they had 3 of those cats that this guy had just cut to shreds.
Wow.
And then of course they treated him beautifully, as you would treat anybody, that did something like that. They got him to the hole with a minimal amount of treating him like a pinata. Actually, it was really awful how bad they beat this dude. It wasn't even fun looking at it.
He bumped up every step he went to the.
Well, and when they came onto the yard, they were carrying these billy clubs that were like 5 feet long and stainless steel looking. You know what I'm talking about? And they had shotguns. And it was the only time in my life that I had ever been on a yard where there were guns. Like these people came onto the prison grounds with shotguns, and I was just looking around like, we ain't Kansas anymore, Toto. I was laying on my face in the chow hall and watching the blood come toward all of us. I mean, they had to bring in a helicopter for him.
I was in the block one time, and these guys started going at it. A couple black guys got into a fight, and they have the sally port where you walk out the building. And then they have the guard tower up top that has the, total view.
Right.
Well, these guys got into a fight right under the view of him. But
Right.
what he did is he took that block gun out, stuck it out the bars, turned it, and fired. And I watched that guy's chest, half his chest, just fillet open.
Damn.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. From the little block,
Yep.
I've seen some crazy. I seen a fight go off on the yard, across the yard from me. And it got so bad that they fired that Mini 14. Now, the Mini 14 ricocheted off a building on that side of the yard, come back and hit a guy in the shoulder that was about 15 feet away from me. And they took the guy that got shot. Yeah, he got shot through the hole and charged him with possessing state property because a bullet was in it.
Absolutely ridiculous, man.
Yep.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
The only time I ever had anything comparable happen was I dove on the ground. They have a way of saying get down on your face when something bad starts happening. If you can get your face on the ground quickly, there's an excellent chance you're not going to get beat up in this process by the goon squad, right? So I'm laying down, and the blacks and the Mexicans in the unit are having a riot, and we're not really in any of this, right? So everything's going on, and people are hitting each other, and there's brooms, and so everybody get on the ground, flashbangs, all of it. So I get on my face, and this dude takes out one of those grenades. You know what I'm talking about? This thing, you pull the pin on this thing, right? And they usually go click, and they let the clip come off, and they count 1, 2, 3, and then they throw it in the air, and it shoots these little hard, nasty little pieces of plastic and rubber that will hurt you, right? So
they will bounce off everything.
I'm laying there being a good dude like this. This guy goes like this, throws it, right? No holding it, no timing. So this thing rolls like this, goes right under my right calf, right underneath it. My leg went boom, straight up in the air. I had 4 huge holes in it. I got terrible scars from it.
Wow.
Had to go down to medical and get them dug out. But as I was there, I'm sitting there, and they're, working on getting. A couple of guys in suits came in and just said, you can't sue for this, right?
Right.
I'm like, why not? And he's like, you're not a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're at this point, you're in limbo. You're nothing. He's like, you can try. I said, no, I'm good. Like they got you now where to keep from frivolous lawsuits, because guys used to just, you file on everything. You file on the warden, you file on just to be a jerk because you got nothing else to do, right? But they passed this thing where if you're gonna start filing, they want a chunk of money up front. Now, if it's not frivolous, they'll give it back to you. But Perth, Western Australia, Monty, good to see you. It is 10 a.m. Sunny Saturday morning from Perth, Western Australia. Yeah, we got a lot of Aussies. You've heard my theory, right? We've got a lot of Aussies who follow the lifeboat, which just proves that you're all on drugs. Right? Got to be doing a lot of dope in that country, right? Because there's just a ton of them here. So hold on. Some of these are so funny, dude.
Which ones?
Dome shot. Right? The
taking one off the dome.
Yeah, taking one off of the dome. Very often from the gentleman in the tower.
On-call push-ups.
The different names for like Hooch, Bruno.
Oh God.
Shine. The kicker,
Jack
the
juice.
bug.
Yeah.
Yeah, your kicker, your bug, your food.
And the thing about that is, if you don't make it right, you have no control of your bowel. I mean, there's guys that were crapping themselves drunker than shit. They couldn't, and you would know it because
they're drinking. The concept is
right.
The bug inside there right, is going to eat sugar and it's
Hmm.
going to discharge alcohol. And it actually does it more like a fart, right? Which is why all the
Yeah.
gas starts gassing up
Yeah.
on. But yeah, if you do it wrong, like if you don't let it cook enough or whatever, you don't strain all that stuff out. The smart thing to do, like if you're not an idiot, what you normally do is when it's all said and done, that thing is completely ready to roll. You throw it on a bunch of ice, right, and let
Yeah.
it sit on that ice for about an hour, and whatever's in there is going to be that'll take care of it. But yeah, I've seen so many people, especially young kids and rookies who go, "Hey man, I made a bag of wine.
Yeah.
Did you let that cool down at all?
Did you
No?
burp
Okay.
it?
Have a good day.
Right. I
Yep, you
mean,
are gonna have a great day."
if that
Um,
blows up in your cell, it's over.
do you remember the commercial ballpark Franks? They
Huh?
plump when you cook
When
them,
you cook them?
right? Okay. I knew a dude that had a bag of wine. It's like a gallon and a half, and he had it in the metal lockers that we have in the feds. Yeah, burp in the bag. Sadly, SP, this guy had a burper on it, right? So he was using a 5 gallon bag that used to hold milk. So it's got the little,
Ooh.
so it's got that little white thing, that,
Uh,
okay, so pull that out, pack all of these stuff in there. They get that back in there, right? Get it good and sealed, and that's your burper. Well, unfortunately, while this thing is in his locker, it slides a little bit. And one part of the food, which in this particular case was potatoes, got stuck in
Ooh.
the burper. So normally what would be happening is there's a tube, and the tube goes down into a bucket of water. So
Right.
that smell goes through the water, which has fabuloso or something
Ooh.
else in it, and it comes up smelling like something better, and they're not going to come and see what's going on. But
Right.
this burper's not working that way. And we're sitting there playing poker, and you just hear this. Boom! I mean, like the end of the world kind of noise. And the guy sitting next to me, like, old guy, didn't even make a face, nothing. He's like, that was a bag of wine.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, that definitely was. But what it did to this dude's locker was
Uh-huh.
like that ballpark Frank. Everyone was trying to deny that they had anything to do with it. And this guy's locker was just like blown out. It's amazing how strong that fermentation
Oh
will
yeah.
get.
That chemical reaction will do it.
Good Lord, Ray, you were smuggling under the age of 18? Well, that's just not right. Well, that'll explain a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, I'm not picking on you. But yeah, starting early is tough, Ray. Uh, moonshining, the concept of the shine. I had a question after we talked about this the last time from about 5 people who said, "How could you possibly set that up, pull it off with a cop walking by every 30 minutes?" Now, number one, in theory, a cop walks by every 30 minutes, right?
Hmm.
In theory. In practice, that doesn't always happen, right?
Uh,
But if they do, more often than not, they're just walking. Like they're
yep.
not looking in your cell.
No.
If they have a flashlight, they're going to put it on the ceiling because they have
Uh-huh.
learned over the years that if you actually shine it on an inmate, he's going to punch you in the face the next time he
Yep.
sees you. And
Sure
I'm
will.
not kidding, right? That happens all the time. It's
Yep.
considered super disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
Like
Disrespect.
the top of the food chain for a cop to be disrespectful to an inmate is to shine a light on his face while they're doing the
Hmm.
walkthrough. It's supposed to go right on the ceiling. Some of them do it on the floor, but it's never supposed to touch you. So they're not looking, right? But the truth is this: in the feds, we always found that it was just easier to go up and ask them beforehand, right? I mean, you'd get those cops that would be like, "I'm sorry, you want to do what?" And we just kidding, boss. Relax, just playing with you. But if the guy was cool, we'd say, we're going to be moonshining in cell 7 or whatever. You cool with
Right.
that? They'd say, yeah, put out a lookout or whatever. And chances are there's 4 cells at any given time that are slinging ink, right? Every
Oh
unit's
yeah.
got at least 4 tattoo artists, right?
Hmm.
Going round the clock,
We
going
had
around.
one for each race.
Yeah, exactly. So usually about 4. Yep, no one likes to be blinded. Yeah, I will agree with you on that. And loud ass keys at night. SP's done time.
Oh
The
yeah.
most disrespectful cats in the world. Those keys sit on a chain, right? and the chain is like this long. So even if they're one of the people that are really kind, that actually grab their keys when they walk, by the way, that's 1 in 100, right? They're
Mhm.
usually new. But if they're those people, even the chain is going to do that.
Yep.
Those keys, if they don't touch them, there's no way you're sleeping through it.
Nope.
There's no way.
They happen to be that long too.
They're
I
that
mean,
long. Yeah, he's not exaggerating. They're freaking huge. And on his keychain, he probably has 11 or 12,
mhm.
right? Food, yeah. Different ones for food trucks, different ones for doors, different ones for MP rooms, different ones for the offices. And they
Right.
never know which one's which. And every key, believe it or not, where the so you take a normal key and you stick it into a lock and it's got the little like grooves that are going to push the tumblers, right? Well, they're so freaked out that we're going to get out of there somehow that the key has a device that hides that at all times. So before you can use the key, you got to lift that little thing before you can slide it in, because they know we're just sitting there looking at that thing going, all right, if we shave this down,
Mhm.
wine comes from grapes, not potatoes. You're absolutely right. If you happen to be making wine in the real world, wine in prison is made with anything, right? Now,
Oh yeah.
Russ will tell you
Yeah.
that ketchup, really
If you could,
popular stuff to make wine out of.
yeah, if you can get a sugar or a yeast or a fruit or vegetable or whatever's considered, they'll make something out of it.
I promise you.
Guaranteed. Yep, guaranteed.
I promise
The
you.
best
And
chemists are in
yeah,
prison.
well, and here's what we're looking for. Here's the simple concept, right? You create a bug, right? Bacteria. That bacteria bug is going to eat the sugar. And in order for
Mhm.
that bacteria to reproduce, there's got to be food in there for it to eat other than sugar. And that's why you throw in potatoes or you throw in melon
Bread.
or, yeah, bread. Always usually like one piece of bread at the top, just because it usually helps with the kicker, right? It usually helps
Yep.
getting that thing going. Bread, oranges. Now, once you're done and you strain all that off, you don't throw away that strain, right? That's the kicker. So you take that and put
Mhm.
it into 5 hair nets, and 5 guys take that thing and go off in different directions, and they throw that in on a batch already made, already ready to go, and the bug continues
Yep.
to eat and do its things. Um,
I don't
the
know.
stuff
I
that
don't know
actually
about. I don't know
go ahead.
about in the feds, but did you guys? I mean, like on hot days, I was in the high desert in one of them, and they would bring around uh, a barrel of ice, and you could just dip in the ice and put it in your tumbler or whatever. These guys would save it, make their stuff, and whenever they did that, they'd come around, make their slams, and just have that.
No,
Next thing you know, everybody's throwing up at the end of the night, sick, drunk,
no.
but that's how it worked.
There's nothing funnier than when the yard plans one out, right? We when I was in Phoenix, they were going to do a New Year's party, right? And I said to them, of all of the days of the year, right, to get caught drinking, you're going to go with New Year's, because they're probably not going to be walking around with a breathalyzer hitting everybody, right?
Right.
But they took 16 people out of my unit for being drunk. That's a lot of hammered people in a unit. I promise you. That's a ton of dumb people,
Hmm.
and it's always really funny because people in most of these people haven't been drunk in a long time, right? So they're getting drunk for the first time in a hot minute, and in an environment that you really want to have your wits about you. Nothing good ever happens with drunk people in prison. It's just a bad
Right.
idea. Christy says, I don't mean to sound stupid,
Yeah. Go ahead. I
but
saw that.
why people need to drink that bad? Uh, are they that bored? No, they're that addicted,
Yeah.
right? These are drug addicts. These are people like, let's say your substance of choice is alcohol, right? That is what you do. You're going to do everything within your power to drink as much as you did on the street.
Hmm.
So if you're on a real yard, like a really tough one, like at the Deuce, at Victorville 2, you could buy moonshine. There were people who were making moonshine all the time, right? So you could absolutely pick up moonshine whenever, right? Uh, Around probably 300 days a year, right? It's
Oh
really
yeah.
rare that they're not blowing that off. And then there's 5 or 6 guys that made wine, and it was always way too expensive, right? But if you had money, yeah, you could get drunk every single day.
Yep.
And you really got to want to get drunk because like this stuff doesn't taste good. There's no way to put into how bad ketchup wine, like try to wrap your brain around this. Ketchup booze.
No, no.
The only one that ever was halfway decent was the stuff that we made out of grapefruit. And V says vodka. I'll tell you something though. We would take potato flake, right?
Right
The stuff that
there.
you make instant potatoes out of. We would
Hmm.
take potato flake and throw the kicker in on that, and we would take Starlight mints. Right? Those are those candies that they sell usually around Christmas that are white
Hmm.
and they've got the little red thing, right? So we would get 4 pounds of those, crush them up, right, into powder, and throw them into the batch. So we're doing like 2 pounds per gallon, but we're doing it of Starlight mints. So you mix the Starlight mint and the potato flakes, and it tasted exactly like schnapps. I mean, like
Right.
for real, when this thing was done, it was mint booze. It's exactly what it was. It was.
I never really drank.
You
I
know,
especially in the
honestly, I
joint.
avoided it. I made a
Yeah.
lot of it. I made a
Yeah.
lot of it. But
You
I
got
just
somebody just commented over here. Where's she at? The Peace Lady.
let's
Danny
see.
M won't be drinking anything like that.
I promise
Dan,
you, Danny will not be drinking anything like
no,
that.
nope. Danny
He
will be
is on
drinking.
NC status.
Yeah, Danny's not
SP
gonna.
Johnson said, I was portrait guy, so I did okay. See,
Oh yeah,
SP's got talent, right?
yep.
If you're one of those people that has talent, then you can eat and drink and your coffee, your drugs, or whatever you're doing in there. You can definitely take care of yourself. He's an
There's your
artist that can do
hustle.
portraits. Yeah, that's a hustle. And a good one, a
Hmm.
really good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had some.
I had no skills. I had to run poker tables, right,
I
or
did.
make a play.
I did envelopes actually. But then again, I had a celly who was a shot caller, so I didn't have to do anything. I
Right,
was good. Everything just came to our cell.
right. As far as the past goes, bro, and what sucks is when you cause so much damage in life and you find love in life, it really plays on you mentally because you realize the pain that you've caused. I'm with you, man. I'm
Hmm.
absolutely with you. This was the biggest stumbling block for me because, as I've said, I destroyed 2 marriages, right? And 2 women that didn't deserve it, right? I can talk really bad about them because that's what I guess people do in after divorces or whatever. I don't really have a lot of bad stuff to say about either of them. One stole a lot of money from me. If I wasn't who I was, that probably wouldn't have happened. I assure you, the criminal mind was not something this girl had ever even thought about until she met me. So I did a lot of that, Ray. What has been a saving grace for me is this: the phrase "nobody in their right mind," right? Nobody in their right mind goes into a bank and says, "I want the top and bottom drawer. Give me all the toys and do it quickly," right? No one in their right mind does that. And no one in their right mind does that more than once. Nobody in their right mind sticks needles in their arms, right? 3 times a day and
Or more.
or more and knows exactly what it's doing, but continues to do it for say 5 or 6 years or 30.
Yeah.
Again, no one in their right mind. So this started to become a mantra of mine. I started to realize, Ray, that I wasn't in my right mind at all. So what was happening? Well, heroin was calling the shots. Or insert your favorite drug of choice. Booze was calling the shots. So you can beat the crap out of yourself for the rest of your life for doing something that, in all honesty, you didn't have control over. It's not going to make the situation any better. It really isn't. And it will
Right.
eat you alive. But yeah, I would
Yep.
recommend that you really start working on trying to separate forgiveness from the things that you did that you were conscious of versus things that you did under the influence of drugs that sorry I mean yeah you have to bear some responsibility, but walking around with all of that guilt, it's not good for your brother. It really isn't. And if I can
Right.
get over the amount of damage I did, I promise you can do it. People
Yep.
who work in Middle Eastern countries, the nurses would make their own home brew because they could only drink in hotel. For example, they used to ferment fruit. Yeah, it was a really big thing. And if you like on lockdowns, if you nothing, you want to see a bunch of guys get really, really angry, you get the yard locked down for a stupid reason,
Oh.
right? Like you
Mm.
get in a fist fight or you stab somebody and you do it without permission. The reason that you get permission is so everybody can get all their wine out of the ceiling, right? Anything that anyone is doing illegally, they want to be able to hide everything they got in their cell because once somebody gets stabbed, they're going to tear the entire place apart. They're going to go through every single cell, right? And it just really becomes, kind of a bad situation, right? So many times we go on lockdown and every shower has a metal plate above it, right? For about $100, you can buy a key that they'll make for you so that you can open those 4 screws. And then you put a 5-gallon bucket or 2 up there, right? Screw it back into place and then wait, right? And it's hot and moist. It's beautiful. Unless you get locked down. And then what you've got is about, I think when it was all said and done, about 25 gallons of vinegar. Right? and a lot of pissed
that somebody
off
has to
Peckerwoods.
dispose of.
Yeah, some real angry Peckerwoods, and you will smell that just like wine, by the way, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can absolutely get caught, and you can get caught for stuff that you couldn't drink. I've seen it happen many times. If they can test it and get any alcohol out of it, then you're busted. It's funny, dude. I told you the last yard I was on was like Disney land, right? I was on this yard called Sheridan. They call it Sheradice, and it is softer than hospital cotton, right? I mean, soft. So I get caught. I was making wine, and I was trying to do the as fast as you could possibly do it. So I had it in the sink, and I was running hot water on it. But I was in cell 1. So the cop coming on for midnight had to walk right by my cell. So I hung my coat. In the. I did everything right, but I can see this guy's hat, just looking right over the top of the coat. And I just looked at my cellmate. I said, "Ah, damn, dude." I'm like, "We're hit," and he just becomes like, "How did you get to prison?" He just starts pulling his hair out and stuff. "Oh man, the trouble we're gonna get in." I'm like, "I'm not gonna get any trouble, dude. It's a wine shot." You know what I mean? Take a deep breath. You got nothing to worry about.
Right.
But this guy came in, grabs my bag of stuff and says, "Come with me," cuffs me up. I think I'm going to the hole. He just takes me down, writes out my shot, brings me back to the cell. And then I watch him go out and dump that bag of wine down the drain. So when they called me in, they're like, "You made you're accused of making a bag of wine." I'm like, "Didn't make a bag of wine." He's like, "You did." No, I didn't. "Why don't you go find it for me? Tell me how much wine was in it." And the guy just looked at me. He goes, "What? The rookie poured out?" I said, "Yes, he did. Yes, he did." So you can toss that. You actually have to be able to test it. Paul says, "Tommy, speaking of Danny Masterson, do you think that if enough people in the Church of Scientology go to jail, they'll have their own car?"
No.
That's funny as hell, actually.
That is funny.
Yeah. If you could pull it all together, I promise you, cars pop up very often because people just do not want to be alone. They want to feel like they're alone. They want to feel like somebody's got their back, So like even guys that don't tip up, right? You become an independent and you become damn proud that you're an independent, right? So you're not in a gang, but you're in a gang.
Yes.
I mean, basically it's the same thing, but
you still are. You
true,
just
rock bottom.
Yeah, you still are. You're just you don't have any tags on you.
Right. Mead. No one made mead, Miss Dragon. The mead, from my understanding, because I've made it on the street before, it's just basically you put in a little hops, but it's basically just honey and water. But it takes an eternity for that stuff to cook. Right. Everything that we did in prison, we were looking to get. In a perfect world, we wanted to be able to come down with a batch every 72 hours. Right. So one's going up, one's coming down. One's going up, one's coming down. And we hollowed out a light, right? Took everything out of it, the ballast, and we're breaking it down into small pieces. And then every day you got to get one piece into the trash, right? Because you don't want to put a bunch in. They're going to try to figure out which, so we got this hollow light that will fit 2 gallons of wine. And we got oranges, right? Got a batch set up there. And I'm sitting on the toilet, right? And I'm reading a Maxim magazine. And there's a cop in my cell watching my cellmate tattoo somebody, right? The cop's cool as hell or whatever. But I'm looking at the magazine and just big orange. I looked up and the whole light, like it looked like it was just a box of wine, above my head. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. Everybody out. He was like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, no, you got to get out now. I got to go to the bathroom. Out. Everybody out. Everybody out. And I said to my cellmate, I'm like, dude, man, that entire thing is filled with wine. I got so shocked. I was standing barefoot on the metal toilet. I was holding it. And he started taking the screws down. He's like, all right, take it down. Well, we had just jammed all of the wires up into the hole. Well, those babies came down and I'm standing on that thing going like this, like looking at him like, do something. He's like, oh, it didn't hurt me at all. I'm like, you're wearing rubber shower slides and I'm not very intelligent, but yeah, it was terrible. I got the crap shocked out of me. But we managed to, no joke, repackage that stuff, right? Get it back up into the lamp and do it in probably about 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to keep onions in the cell, and anytime you got anything that it was even remotely starting to smell, you just dice up one onion, right? Cut it as small as you can. Just get a big old. So as soon as you walk into the cell, it's just instantly your eyes start tearing up. But it was always good.
In the feds, you guys had a lot more freedom than we did. Serious. I mean, you could have typewriters. We couldn't have that stuff. We'd have to go to the law library.
No, we had you guys at the FCIs. We had them in the unit.
Okay, you had microwave.
Only at the FCIs, not at the USPs. USPs we just had hot water.
Yeah. Okay. Stinger.
And it's not even hot, man. It's not even 210. Like it really is not good.
Did they give you a stinger?
No.
Did you buy one?
I mean, everybody had one, but they don't give them out. Yeah.
Okay.
A stinger is the greatest invention in history. I don't know why everybody on the planet doesn't use one on the street, but what you do is picture a cord that you would plug into a wall, right? That goes to a lamp or whatever. If you could cut that thing off, right? And then what you're going to do is take the hot, right, and the ground, and you're basically going to connect them. But you want to put a thin enough metal in between them so that when you run the current through, it starts heating up really, really quickly. And you drop one of those into a mug. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you will boil your coffee in about 6 seconds. You're done. It is the greatest device ever. But no, they didn't give them out, and they confiscated them every time they found them.
Oh yeah, they
funny though. Still make occasional peanut butter soup sandwiches. Yes, Thompson. there are things that I still do occasionally. Right? I will just snarf the top ramen right out of the.
I bought 2 today.
Just ate one like a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot.
We used to get honey mixed in peanut butter on our sack lunches. When you come out of lunch or breakfast, they give you a sack lunch with that steak Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah.
And they give you a little cup of peanut butter with honey mixed in. That was the best stuff in the world until it went on lockdown. The blacks and Mexicans went on lockdown, so the whites were the only ones that could do the job. So they took volunteers to the kitchen, and these guys, sorry, squirrels coming in. They take us to the kitchen, and we would take it home, and we use it because we lift. But that stuff won't let you poop for nothing.
Right. The
sorry,
fruit pectin, right? You know what fruit pectin is? Okay. I was at a prison, and I was having a pretty good time on this yard. As far as prisons go, you're right. Stingers need to be mainstream appliances. I agree with you 100%, man. I've said that since the first time I saw one work. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like that boils water. The second you put it in, it boils water. It's absolutely, phenomenal.
Oh yeah. SP, yeah, we do that. We take 2 razor blades and we have a battery, make a little lighter.
How bad did you burn your fingers? How bad did you burn your fingers?
Oh, it would, if you did it long enough, it would, but then we'd make a wick out of toilet paper, about 2 feet long.
Yep.
Yep. Just
Yep.
let
To the
that burn all
floor,
day.
all the way down, back up. Keep that
Hang it
thing
from our
burning for
vent.
2 days. Yep. Just breathing that in too. Lighting a smoke with a AA battery. Good
2
times.
batteries.
Good times. Yeah, you could do it with one if you scrape the bottom.
Yep.
Right?
You can.
And just lay one that way. It needs to be a fairly new battery, but you put it down on the metal, and if you use those razor blades, man.
Oh,
Right?
man.
And it's usually a drug, right? You know what I mean? So you're hanging in there. You're like, I'm getting this thing lit.
Mhm.
You'd see people and you'd be like, oh, dude, look at your thumbs, man.
You
You hung in there tough. You hung in there tough. My TV has been on mute since y'all came on. Best entertainment on Friday night. Thanks for shooting the you know what with us tonight. Happy
Right.
to do it. Yes, sir. Fingertips red. SP knows.
Mhm.
SP has definitely been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt. Good times. Good times. Very happy that it's over.
Yeah, you being in prison, you become an incident engineer or a chemist.
Right? C says that thanks for reading. Very fascinated by the engineering. Well, then let me cheer you up on some engineering. I'll tell you how some of the things go on in here, right? Just how ridiculous it is. So I get an MP3 player, right? You can buy an MP3 player and you can only put 4,000 songs on it. That's what the MP3 player will hold. That's it. So a guy I work with says to me, give me your MP3 player, right? I will put 4,000 songs on it today at work. And I'm like, how's that going to happen? He's like, I have figured out a way to bootstrap this thing, right? So that I can hook it up to a regular computer, just like you would your regular iPad. He said, so I'm using the computer at work and I'm just going to start filling up everybody's. Now, this machine will only work for 14 days, right? Every 14 days, you got to plug it back into a station so that it can go, okay, yeah, that's Tommy, right? There's some kind of recognition. This thing would pass that. You'd put it in there with the 4,000 stolen songs, right? I mean, you talk about MacGyver. If you broke a radio, tell me you didn't have a radio guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a dude who has built tools.
A fan guy.
Yeah.
A
Right, for
radio,
real.
TV. Yep.
TV. Yep. And if a TV broke or a radio broke, nothing ever gets thrown out in prison. You throw out nothing in prison because you're going to end up using it. It's a guarantee, right?
Yep.
Guarantee. The other thing, so Sony FP035 is the radio that they sell in the federal prison. The FP stands for federal prison. It's just a Sony radio with 4 buttons on it. It's clear plastic so you can see through it, so you can't hide your drugs inside, right? So that's really that's all it's doing. Is if you take this thing now and you take it apart and you take a pencil, there are two little I don't know what you call it, those little like the solder. There's 2 little pieces of solder, and if you know where they are, you can take a pencil and just color back and forth, and the lead will actually make the graphite will actually bridge that gap, and you will double the volume of that radio instantly. And when this dude told me that, I would honestly take the thing apart and put little pieces of paper and stuff in different spots so it looked like I didn't want anyone knowing how I did this, dude. You know what I mean? The guys build amplifiers. Like you can buy amps that people made from other radios. Huge speakers. There were guys in prison making speakers this big, right?
Wow.
Just absolutely ridiculous. They get really into it. There are a lot of MacGyvers, man.
Yes, there are. That was a lot of guys hustle. A lot of guys did artwork, tattoo work. I mean,
yeah. Well, just making a tattoo gun. Right?
Yeah.
You guys got to understand that that's not easy either, right?
How many guitars are missing that string? That one E or G?
Yeah, the E. Yeah. That is the best needle. How in the world did they make syringes that were clean enough not to kill you dead? Jonesy asks an excellent question, right?
Okay.
This is a very serious question. So here's how it works. You start off with the needle that you get from medical, and it looks exactly like a needle. unless you can't get one out, in which case they're just going to bust the needle off itself. And then what you're going to look for is a Bic pen. And you're going to take that needle and you're going to take the tapered part of a Bic pen and you're going to get that baby hot as hell and you're going to lock that needle into that pen.
Right.
And then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build a plunger. So you cut that thing down to where it's about this long, right? And then you go find an eraser, right? Because they're about the perfect size. Put a plastic bag around it so that you're not maybe banging an eraser into your vein, right? And that's the plunger. And now that is your rig. And it's usually a two-man job because it's not something
it is.
Usually it requires a couple of people if you're going to do it.
Yep.
The guards do not care if you work on tattoos at all, as long as you tell them. Or if you're stupid, right? There are things that, like if you reuse ink, right? If you're doing stupid stuff, if you're tattooing from one guy and going straight to another guy, like they do want you to. They're not trying to see everybody get diseases and everything else. And I'll tell you something. They really are pretty good. Like the guys that are doing tattoos, everybody's wearing gloves. It's so much like a tattoo shop. It's almost crazy. And the work that these guys do is pretty impressive. There are some really good tattoo artists in there.
Yeah, there are. There really are.
Some horrible ones too. I mean, but
that's true. Anik asked me if about my squirrel. Well, his name is Bumper, Anik, and I call him Bumper because he loves to bump his face off at anything. He will rub his face all over you and anything else.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's my version of squirrel.
Jonesy, I know you're cringing right now. I know you are. But if you want a legit rig, right, or a spike, right, and you want one in plastic coming out of, you can get one. You can get a brand new, no joke insulin syringe still in plastic that's never been used, and they go for about $250. That's what those go for. And I'm telling you, the worst part of the whole thing is this: the guy that buys that, he doesn't buy that because he's got a ton of dough. He buys that as an investment because he's going to go lend his needle to every single person that wants to fix in the prison with the promise that, hey, leave me a little in that when you're done. Right?
Or whatever disease you got, give it to me.
Blood, tar, just leave it all in there and I'll just bang that home. And that's how it works. Now, you want cringing? I have watched, I can't tell you how many times as guys took that needle and then took a matchbook and started sharpening up that spike.
I've seen guys do it on concrete.
Yeah. If you don't have paper, you're definitely going to use concrete. the worst in history, bar none, the worst in history. And I'm going to tell you the guy's name because he wouldn't care. He's still in. He's a homeboy of mine, solid homeboy. But his name is JC, right? And this dude took a basketball pump. You know how you pump up a basketball? That needle, right? He brought that thing to CMS and put it on a grinder, right? So when he brings it back, he's like, tell me how sharp this is. I said, it's as sharp as anything in the world. It's also that big, dude. You know what I mean? Like, what are you not going to blow out with this? It gets worse. He took the spray bottles, pulled that plastic tube out from the inside, jammed it into this thing, and was doing it like this. Right? Sucking it in, blowing it in.
Wow.
And I sat there looking at him going, dude, really? And SP just nails it. This is the craziest part of the whole thing. There you go. There you go.
I've never seen anything that bad, but that is, I wouldn't put it past anybody.
And that life is totally normal, right? Do they let you have access to isopropyl rubbing alcohol to disinfect the needles? No. No. People will drink isopropyl rubbing alcohol if you let them.
They will.
I promise you. They drink hand sanitizer, a lot of it. That is a very, very popular thing to do in there. They add salt to it. So if you got a guy that works in the kitchen and he can bring back, say, a pound of salt, you take those things come in 32-ounce bags, right? So it's basically a pint, not a pint, but a fifth, 32 shots, right? So you take this thing and you put it into some kind of big container and you dump a half a pound of salt on it and you let it sit there for about 30 minutes. And all of it will come together in this really hard, nasty ball, right? So SP, that pretty much sums it up. So you pour all of this out, right? And then you start straining it. And normally you start off with a nice t-shirt, maybe a pair of boxers. If life is good, you might have just picked them up that day, right? So that they're not already been used a few times. Yeah, anything for a buzz, Paul, for real. Anything for a buzz. It's the nastiest. But this the crazy part of this is that when you're done straining this off, you can light it on fire, right? This stuff is literally, as strong as you can make alcohol. Like you could run a car on this.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw it done, there was a kid, he's a lifer. Had just gotten into prison. He was doing a life, and dumb as a brick. But he said, give me a shot. I'm like, sure. Everybody's got a shot glass in prison. I'm like, dude, just take a pull off the thing. You know what I mean? He's like, no, just give me a styrofoam cup. He put about that much in the bottom of a styrofoam cup. And he threw it back in just one, right? And within 10 seconds, that dude had a red mark. And it was like perfectly round and just right here. And we're all looking at him. He's like, why are you looking at me? No, you're good. You're good. Play some cards? What do you think? He's like, no, something wrong with me, isn't there? No, you're good, man. Comes out, he's like, what the hell is this? I'm like, yeah, all bad. All bad.
There's going to be a hole in your cheek here in about a half hour.
Yeah. But people drink it. People end up in the hospital. They can go blind. Absolutely, they can.
I know guys that, from the street that would send in packages or postcards or whatever, little cards, but they would soak the card in liquid meth.
Sure.
And that way, if there's any kind of thing in it, they just tear a piece off and it would be concentrate too.
Yeah. Sell it by the inch, square inch.
Yep. They'd be up for weeks.
Which isn't good in prison. Thing in the entire world, right?
Yeah. Right.
Jonesy, so glad you're on Suboxone, brother. So glad you're on Suboxone. It's a miracle drug for people like us. It really is. It's an absolute miracle drug.
It saved my life.
Yeah, right. And the lives of so many people that I know. Horton Fissel says, Tommy, I'm stuck with a shot starter sitting in my van. Glad I have supplies in it. Anyway, tow truck called and listening in. I'm sorry to hear that, brother. That sucks. But at least you got the lifeboat, right? You can hang out a little bit and talk to us. We ran a little long today. It's not such a bad thing, though.
No.
I love in Pensacola, Florida. If I can help out talking to anyone, I'm available. I'm a recovering junkie now, blessedly on Suboxone. Jonesy, I love that. Do me a favor. If you have not gone over to the Facebook page, right? If you've not gone over to the Facebook page and joined the lifeboat group page over there, man, it ain't like Facebook, right? It's nothing like Facebook. Don't tell me you hate Facebook. I freaking hate Facebook, right? Everybody hates Facebook. Zuckerberg hates Facebook. But this isn't Facebook. It's just the lifeboat on Facebook. And we don't allow people there that aren't, you have to actually go there and say, hey, can I join you? And then we do a full background check, NCIC, the whole works. DNA, you're gonna have to see with the 23andMe thing. We want to know exactly.
Right.
Now it's pretty painless. The rubber glove thing's a little tough, but
we'll try to.
Everybody gets by. Right? I've never heard of liquid meth, but I do know that some people do use put LSD on stamps and send it that way. Yeah, before people got hip, they used to take a strip of Suboxone and put it underneath the stamp. There was like a year. There was a year that they just didn't seem to know what was going on, and everybody and their brother was sitting on a bunch of dope. And it was, but liquid meth, they will liquefy anything and put it onto cotton stock cards, right? They want it to be cotton, so they go and buy those, the particular kind. And you cut it into 1 inch, sell that for $100, and they'll cut that into fours, mash that thing up, and then.
Were you guys allowed in feds to get packages every quarter?
No.
Oh no! In the state, we got packages every quarter. Well, when I was in, so every 3 months, your people could send you a package of 50 pounds, no more than 50 pounds. Coffee, whatever, clothes, shoes. Well, guys would get remember the box of sugar cubes?
Yeah.
Somebody would go through and hit that with a syringe of acid and all that.
Ooh.
So this guy would be selling cubes and everybody be toasting them.
You know, there are drugs. I had an opportunity to do acid in prison, and
Oh no.
yeah, this guy had a book sent in, and he had a full sheet inside this book.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, we were in the shoe, right? We were in the segregated housing unit when this got dropped off, and he's like, "Tommy, man, you wanna get high?" Right. And this is way before I'm sober. I'm like, yes, I want to get high. What have you got? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me it's tar. And he's like, no, man, it's trips. And I was like, trips?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not talking about acid. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, you want to trip in prison? I honestly think that may be the absolutely most frightening concept in the entire world. What I want to do, right, is make prison just a little bit less easy to relate to and a little bit more frightening. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it either.
Never been in prison, never done acid, can't imagine acid in prison. See, yeah. It just, there's a lot of people, but you know what? I'm going to go the same way. I'll be real honest. I never understood the guys that, like, when the meth would hit the yard, right? Because it always comes in waves. And in the feds, for whatever reason, they call it shabibble. But when the shabib would hit the yard, I mean, people just got weird, like really weird.
Queer juice.
Queer juice, man. Like, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. That's exactly what they call it behind the wall, because inevitably, roommates get much more friendly with each other, and it's just it really does destroy a yard really, really quickly. Just being in prison would be frightening. Peace Lady, you get used to it, right? You get used to it pretty quickly.
Mr. Ray Ray gets off the dark side. Come on.
On the dark side. You know, we these shows here are not feel-good shows, people. They're not. I mean, we're going to come on here. We're going to talk about our prison experience. The reason being, I get 1,500 emails a month that ask me to do more of these. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. 1,000 miles an hour in a metal box. More good times.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Yep. Good.
You have nowhere to go.
Times. Yep. But at least you only got to ride that out for 8 to 10 hours. Right.
Right.
I'd rather slam my finger in a car door intentionally.
You do it at breakfast, and then you last all day, and then, hope they don't get locked down. That's it.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, there's stories I can tell you that the blood and guts and all that.
Did you ever know anybody that did nutmeg?
No.
No? You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And
they got it on lock and key in the kitchen. You can't get at it. And, I used to order all the stuff in the kitchen, and I'm like, why is that in with sugar? Right? I understand the sugar, right? But then he said, no, apparently you can get high on it. Like, you can actually hallucinate on that stuff. And you absolutely can. You can absolutely. But it really does you dirty in the process. Like, my friend absolutely had a really good time. And afterwards I said, man, you're still going through it? He said, yeah. I said, when was the last time, you went to the bathroom? He's like, April. Dude was in bad shape, man. Really, really bad shape. No, we did not say porn videos. No.
Oh, no.
Although I did see once, no lie, somebody got in an SD card, and in the day room, like, I had just come back from the law library, and I walk in, and they've got this thing in the SD card is plugged into this smart TV, and I'm watching a film that was done in French, but you did not need to understand French to get a real good idea what was going on with this film.
French kissing.
Yeah, you feel me? You did not need a translator. Ray said he smoked nutmeg. These guys ate it. These guys ate it.
They'd smoke nutmeg. They'd smoke oregano. They'd smoke banana peels, orange peels. They do all that.
SP says, I always hated having to be class A in the hole. You're sadistic. I'm telling you, man. pure sadistic BS, and all of it, every single part of it, man. You know, I remember when I got airlifted off of Victorville. I got brought back to the yard at 4:00 in the morning, right? 4:00 in the morning, and they pull me in, right? So I go in there to get talked to, right? And I've had 5 shots of Dilaudid by this point. I'm completely worthless, right? And he goes, "All right, man, just send him back to his cell." And the guys are yelling to me, "You know, you got to go to yard, right? You're a white boy, so you got to take your lockup order, show them you didn't check in, and you got to go out to yard." And I'm still leaking. Like they hadn't even patched me up all that well. You get 1,000 calls a month to do porn videos? No. I said
1,500.
I get about 1,500 emails a month to do prison videos. Like this
ain't porn.
No, as I said, dude, my fans only page got about 70 days, man. We're rolling that out, so stick around.
Right.
Yeah, you have to check that out. But 102 degrees and no fan. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I was in the IE. I was in the Inland Empire. The day I got stabbed, it was 112.
Yep.
The venom toad poison. Oh, wait a second. Ray is the venom toad poison I smoke my stepmom milked. I want to party with your stepmom. Seriously, me and her together, forget about it. That's just crazy. Nutmeg, oregano, banana peels. Why? Well, Anik, when you're in the joint and you're a drug addict, they have taken away your ability to buy drugs, or they've made them really, really expensive.
Like, in the state, they took away tobacco. Yeah.
$20 for a cigarette with a filter on it. $20. And that was 6 years ago.
I heard $10 a pin cigarette, Rolly, all kinds of stuff.
Are cigarettes as valuable as people act like they are? Oh, yes. Good Lord, yes. Good Lord, yes. Let me tell you how important cigarettes are. These don't even have to be cigarettes. This can be chewing tobacco that was in a cop's mouth, right?
Yep.
That he spit out in a can, and some inmate who really wants to make some money took that can, dumped out all the spit and the everything, put it in the sun, let it all go, and that's what they're going to roll up for cigarettes, and they're going to cost $10 a piece, and they're going to be pinners.
Yep.
Pinners. Right?
And they'll roll it. They'll roll it with toilet paper roll.
Correct.
Cover, like what the toilet paper comes in.
Yeah. And God forbid, about once a year, man, they will change out the toilet paper and you get this plastic crap that they're wrapping it in. And now you got people trying to roll cigarettes in yellow legal notebook pads.
Bible
pages. Yep. People do a lot of that. Bible pages too.
Yep.
Dixie, I'm glad that you said that. And I love seeing the Fleur de Lis. Huge fan of Nolans, favorite cities. Huge fan. Nicotine in any form is fair game. SB's he gets it. He gets it.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a serious commitment to a tobacco habit. When I was here, when I was on Wilmot Road, cars could drive by and just launch.
Yeah.
It was so the fence was so close that if you had a guy with any arm at all, he could
handball.
He could just throw a ball full of crap over the fence. And so that yard had, you could get anything on that yard. Really
I was never lucky to be on a 1-2 yard. I was always 3 or 4.
Yeah. Ray says, my question is, do they still make nitrate in prison jail tobacco? Nitrate is still made, to be sure, but there aren't that many prisons left that will allow you to smoke. No. You could buy it at the last one I was at that you could smoke at was a state joint, and you could buy nitrate there. But the popular one was 4 Aces. And if you've never smoked 4 Aces, then chances are your lungs have never bled. But if you Seriously, man. I remember buying that stuff. Like, and they brought menthol. I was still in the fish tank, right? I've been in prison like 5 minutes, and they brought me menthol instead of the other one. And you want to talk about menthol? Oh my God. Like, this is menthol. And I'm sitting there smoking with my cellmate, and nobody else in the fish tank has tobacco, right? My money somehow got there, and no one else's check did, right?
Wow.
So we're just sitting in there like Big Chief, just smoking nonstop. But I ended up coughing up in the morning, and blood came out. You know what I mean? Like, literally. And the guy that I was with was JC, that guy I was talking about. He's like, "Oh yeah, dude. Once you get past the blood phase, you're good." He's like, "Seriously, smoke a couple of more." He's like, "Once you get past that, man, you wouldn't
You'd be all right.
anymore." Yeah, you're all right. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They used to give out actual bags of top and matches when you first get there.
yeah. Standard issue chew.
Yep.
I remember those days. You
Yep.
get a can of chew. You get a can of chew or a pack of smokes, and they were free.
Yep. I used to have my mom send me in 6 cartons of Camels. I didn't smoke them,
Yeah.
so I would just sit on them. Man, I'd make a lot of money.
Oh yeah. So Jimmy
Fifi.
says, "Tell us about prison fifis." Okay. All right. Since this is not your normal run-of-the-mill lifeboat, and we're on
Yeah, have at it,
the
Tommy.
night guard, you're gonna, if you end up in prison, there are certain things that you're probably not going to get, right? One of them is going to be steak. Probably not going to eat a whole lot of steak. The other would be the company of a female. Is not going to happen, right? It's just not. And for that reason, there are people who decide that maybe they'll just, for the duration of the time that they're there, maybe they'll just try out the other team, right? And that happens. They call it gay for the stay. And there's a lot of people that actually say stuff like that, right? You've heard it. I know you've heard it.
Yeah.
Just gay for the stay.
You're not guilty gay if you stop 2 weeks before you get out.
That's right. All of them. Everybody, we hear all of this stuff again and again. But there are those people that just say, I'm not selling out, right? I'm gonna just stick to and I'll just wait for the 10 years I'm gonna have to wait before I can. So somewhere along the way, some MacGyver inmate decided that if you took the right set of tools, usually a rubber glove is involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Often things like
and lotion.
Lotion, Vaseline, things like that. Yeah, a pillow. So anyway, they build something that is the equivalent of those blow-up dolls that you sometimes see in fraternity house movies.
Or
right?
certain parts of a blow-up doll.
Exactly. They're not really making her fully tall, and no, they're just taking care of business. The funnier one though was I had a friend, and he was in a cell alone in the shoe. Everybody else had a cellmate, so we were just giving him crap, bachelor pad. I'm like, he's in there making him a fifi, and hard to do in the shoe because you got nothing. And he goes, "Oh, you can't make a fifi in the shoe." He's like, "How the hell are you going to make it?" I said, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "However, I do know Matrice." I said, "Matrice?" He said, "Yeah, you fold this girl just right." I said, "Oh man, it was
bologna from your sandwich."
Yeah. May I suggest? No, you're good, Ray. Look, everybody has days, right? Everybody has days, brother.
It's bringing up fond memories.
Yeah. When in Rome. When in Rome. Yeah, when in Rome, I'll just wait for the 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? Good story, though. This is funny. So there was a guy that I did time with in the state joint. Boy, would I like to tell you his name because it's so much funnier. Like the name is a punchline, but I can't do it. We'll just say that his first name was Guy, right? Because this guy referred to himself as Lady Guyana, right? And the last name kind of fit with it. So anyway, Guy was in my drug class in the state joint, which was just you read workbooks. I didn't care, whatever. But he was flamboyant, right? Like when you got off the bus, it didn't matter where Guy was on the yard. You figured out that he was probably not heterosexual. Like he definitely wanted you to understand that quickly. Fast forward like a year and a half, right? And I'm getting ready to walk into a Walmart, and guy is coming out of the Walmart with what might be his mom or his grandma. It could go either way on this, right? But this is not a young woman. The hair had that slightly blue tinge to it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it was also quite obvious that he had on some work boots, right? Like he wasn't flamboyant. This dude was doing everything within his power to look like the Marlboro Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
A huge change. And he looked at me with the look of panic on his face, like this dude knows who I am. And he is about to, and I went walking straight up and I went, Guy, how you been? Gave him the huge firm handshake. And then I looked at grandma or whoever and said, I was incarcerated with Guy. Good dude to be in there with. As I walked away, I know that he was, SP Thompson.
Smile. Let me see your stretch marks.
Right. SP Thompson.
Did you guys have outdoor bathrooms, like half wall?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went.
Outdoor bathrooms.
I hit Donovan when I was in reception, and me and a couple guys were out there, and I was, of course, going out there at the bathroom, standing there with, just going away, and I turned my head and looked, and there's a black guy and a white guy, and both of them had shirts on, and both of them had boobs staring at me. Woo, I didn't feel right. I just kind of had to stop doing my business and get up and walk away.
I never dealt with that until the very last yard that I was on, because I was always at a custody level where they were never on the yards. But once my custody level dropped and I was about to go home, they sent me to this candy land, right? And they were everywhere. There was, and look, live any way you want. I don't care. I really don't. I do not care. However, they will screw up a yard and fast. Right?
Oh yeah.
Fast. Especially if they really look the part. And there was a girl there. Wasn't born that way, but there was a girl there who and at the time my job was moonshine. I would take the wine and I would shine it and then I would sell it. And one day a guy comes in and says to me, dude, I'm going to buy you a honey bear, right? You're going to drink with us. Man, I don't want to. If I wanted to drink, right, I would drink. I'm making the stuff. What I really wanted to do was just have him give it to me so I could sell it again, right? That would be excellent.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, come on, man. You got to, seriously, you're going to drink with us. And I had like 2 or 3 of those. This young lady who was born a young man was going with the name Catherine, right? But I remember on like that 3rd shot of moonshine, looking at everybody in the room going, all right, look, someone's got to be on Catherine watch, right?
Yeah.
If there's, for real, you got 5 guys in here drinking grain alcohol, someone's keeping her on that side of town, right?
Right.
Was this Sheridan? C says, was this Sheridan? Why, you've heard of the softest prison in North America? Well, that was a hell of a guess. Yes, as a matter of fact, it was Paradise in Oregon. And
I know that there's some
hospital cotton.
Yeah, I know that there's guys that want to be girls in there that are flat out killers. I knew this one of them that had the startings of a breast,
right,
and Mexican, and had long hair, but was a Golden Gloves boxer that would just beat the brakes off of you.
Did this individual go by the name Precious?
No.
Okay.
Chirujo. That's what they used to call her.
Because I saw one named Precious that had hands like Ali. And for the whole time we were in the fish tank, this guy's in the vent screaming, all kinds of slurs that someone like that does not want to hear. Just rude stuff, right?
Right.
Just rude stuff. And just in the nicest voice you ever heard, right? If you keep doing this, when they pop those doors, I'm going to go out there and hurt you. And it's just, Precious just nice as hell. You really should stop doing this. When they pop that door, I'm not kidding. I'm going to come out there and hurt you. And he lit this dude up. Like the doors, they're on sliders. So the sliders open. And old Precious came out and did about a 5-piece, right? Coming from everywhere. We're just all sitting and watching. It was over so quick that Precious just kind of went down to the shower and left, the wood standing there leaking all over the place. And he's like, man, what should I do? And I was like, change your name, move to another country.
Roll
I
up,
don't know.
roll up,
Roll your stuff up. Maybe try again
go
in the
to
next
another yard.
Because yeah, I said, I don't think you want to walk this one, bro. You're the guy that just got beat up by Precious. Stubbed when I saw you talk about Sheridan on growing up in Scientology. Live in Oregon, so it's stuck in my brain. Okay, yeah. So as far as federal prisons go, Sheridan, Oregon is it's considered a white boy yard. So there's a very large representation of white guys. That doesn't always happen. Like when I was at the Deuce, there was 35 of us, right, out of 1,300. So being in Sheridan, we were probably 80% of the population. Not that it mattered because nobody fights or does anything. You know what I mean? Like that yard is fun. Like it's as close to freedom as you're ever gonna. They have a pond for turtles, so you can go and watch the little turtle pond. Yeah. You know who was there was the guy that started the BG.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Big Meech.
BGF.
Yeah, Big Meech was on that yard with me. In fact, he and I did like 4 yards in a row. We were in the SMU together. We just kept following each other 1 yard to the next. I love listening to the professional musicians all night long in those vents. Oh boy. You know, the vents at Lewisburg we used to call the phone system, right? Because they're that, it's a huge, if you could get through, you could crawl up, right? Wow. They're just massive because they used to move a lot of air, right? Back when they actually did that and cared. But you'd get on the phone and yell up to the cell and the guy'd come over and you could communicate basically anywhere. It was that was a really old, that's what you imagine a prison would look like. It was old as hell. Well, see, I'm glad that you're here. And Sheridan, yeah, if you ever have to, not such a bad one to hit. We have gone an hour and a half. Russ, what the hell's wrong?
Wow.
Keeping us on here is your problem. That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right. What is the fishbowl? Well, the fish tank is where so the term fish means that you just got there, right? You are brand new to the system.
New guy.
New guy. He called is usually referred to as a fish. So when you first get there, you go in the fish tank. And that is a unit of all people that are just coming in, except for about 40 cells, which are on the other side. That's going to be the SHU, segregated housing unit, right? So when you're in the fish tank, you get out for 15 minutes every other day. In that 15 minutes, you have to brush your teeth, right? Take a shower, use the phone, do whatever you're going to do. Yeah, they did call them phones too. Yeah, that's how you did it, right? It was just like cranking up the old school phones. Hey, cell 30. Yeah, awful. But you look back, some of it is just some of it was really funny. In the fish tank, so you're brand new in there, and they keep you there for 30 to 60 days depending, right? So I did like 45 days in the fish tank in Nevada. And what they're trying to do is break your spirits, right? They would like you to check in. So when they first get you there, they put you in the middle of this room, which is as big as a basketball court, right? And there's 135 cells around the outside of it. And then up above, there are the police station, basically. There's like 5 cops up there with big windows and shotguns. And they bring you in, line you up in the room and go, all right, take all your clothes off. And you're just standing there bare ass naked,
butt naked,
right in the middle of the room while everybody just heckles you, right? They're just but they'll get rid of 3 or 4 guys right then. There'll be people that just, I can't do this. And they'll check in. And that's really, I think, what they're trying to do is shake everybody out as much as possible. Being locked down, if you've never done time and they lock you down 24, you'll freak out. And most people get sent to other places. Right.
Yeah. First time I went to county, well, in my county, the fishbowl was basically the same thing, but the initial fishbowls, they had cells that were all, like 40 cells, open, like big ones that would hold like 15, 20, 30 guys. but they were celled off, and they all had huge bulletproof glass window there. And you go from cell to cell to cell as you process in, through the night. And that's what they did there. Then you go up to the big fish bowl. It sucks.
No, it does suck. It really does. And it's like you want to call your people, but you'd like to take a shower, right? And I'll be honest with you, you do enough time, you get over a lot of the stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Like lift it and cough or bend over and whatever. You do that enough times, man. You just don't care anymore, right? It's just not one of those things. But I remember standing there looking up, three women, right, just staring down at you, and I was thinking to myself, I guarantee you, they're not doing the same way. Over on Smiley Road, which was the women's prison. I don't think they're doing it like that over there. But yeah, they just didn't care.
No.
It was, but I think it was different times. I think prisons changed quite a bit. Like I remember going in, and there were 12 commodes, right? 12 toilets. There was nothing between any of them. Right? There was just 12 toilets in a row, right? And they're about 1.5 feet apart, right?
Yeah.
So you had to be careful with your coffee. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just not that dude. Like I trained myself. I was the 3 a.m. Oh yeah, 3 a.m. The Tombs.
Oh yeah.
Wow, SP. So you're from that part of the country. I'm familiar with the Tombs. Yeesh.
Well, they got tombs everywhere. They got the tombs, and where I was at, we called them the Tombs.
Yeah.
And
the originals, I think, was where they used to send people prior to Rikers, before they started to build.
Oh
Rikers
yeah.
It was the Tombs it was part of the police station in New York, and
right. Yeah,
called it for good reasons. A lot of people never got out of it.
You're right.
We're at the intersection of Grant and Stone. 22nd and Pantana. What are we doing here? Everybody's giving out directions.
I know. What is it? Get together?
1060 West Addison. That would be in Chicago, Illinois. Right.
Florida has the Tombs
Florida now, but that was NYC. Yeah, that makes sense, SP. Yeah.
Florida now, because they kill everybody there.
You're now a Florida man. Right?
Yeah.
Just if you Google Florida man, that's the coolest thing in the whole world. I do it all the time. It's the greatest thing in the world to Google. You can just read forever. Florida man tries to rob 7-Eleven with an alligator. Right? Florida man. Every one of them just gets progressively nuttier and nuttier. And I'm into the nutty thing. That kind of group that. All right, you know what? Let's call this thing, my brother. What do you think?
Yeah, that'll work, bro.
Probably a little bit. Chicago, I used to live on Collier Street. Well, then you know that 1060 West Addison just might be Wrigley Field. But if I got to give out my address, I promise you that's the one I'm giving out. We'll let you head on over to Wrigley Field. I am Captain Tommy Scoble. I'm a homeboy on the other side of the glass. That is.
We'll see y'all later.
Wrestling this y'all. Yeah, she's in there.
You got squirrel. Mine's running around now.
Look at that. Yeah. It's awfully nice of her to join me. All right, people. We will see you on the next one. God bless. Take care of yourself and each other, right?
Yep.